to the ITSM Practice Podcast.
Welcome to the ITSM Practice Podcast. I'm Luigi Ferri, and let me start with the scene. A meeting room, a security team get ready around the screen. The cloud platform dashboard is open. Everything looks normal. The systems are running, the infrastructure is stable, no alerts. Then someone says something simple. Customer data has been exposed. For a moment, the room goes quiet. Not because the people don't understand what happened, but because everyone is asking the same question. Who is responsible? For a long time, information security followed a very clear logic. Organizations own their infrastructure. Servers were in internal data centers. Networks were under internal control. If something went wrong, responsibility was obvious. It belonged to the organization running the system. Cloud computing changed that structure. Infrastructure moved outside the organization. Platform became shared. Applications began running on systems operated by external providers. And suddenly, responsibility was no longer concentrated in one place. It was divided. Part of it belongs to the provider. Part of it belongs to the customer. This is what we call the shared responsibility model. In theory, it sounds straightforward. Often, that's not the case. Imagine a company moving its customer platform to the cloud. The migration works well, the system becomes faster, operations are easier, the infrastructure scales automatically. Months pass, everything looks stable, then one day a security incident appears. Sensitive customer information becomes accessible to unauthorized users. The investigation begins. The cloud provider checks the infrastructure. Everything is functioning exactly as designed. Then the attention shifts. Access permissions were configured incorrectly. The provider assumed the customer managed those settings. The customer assumed the provider did. The technology worked. The misunderstanding was about responsibility. And in that moment, everyone realized something uncomfortable. In the cloud, technology may be shared, but responsibility is not always understood. Cloud platforms operate in ways that traditional security models were not designed to handle. For example, many cloud environments are multi-tenant. Multiple organizations share the same infrastructure. Different companies, different data, sometimes the same physical machines. And yet their information must remain completely separated. Maintaining that separation is one of the most critical responsibilities in cloud security. Because if that separation fails, the impact can extend across many organizations at once. Beyond the applications we use every day, another layer exists. Virtual machines, hypervisors, virtual networks. These components allow cloud platform to run many systems on shared infrastructure. They make the cloud scalable and efficient, but they also introduce new security considerations. If the virtualization layer is compromised, multiple systems may be affected at the same time. That is why cloud security standards such as ISO 27017 provides guidance specifically for these environments. Not because cloud technology is unsafe, but because its architecture is fundamentally different. And different architectures require different security thinking. ISO 27017 was developed to help organizations adapt traditional security practices to cloud environments. It builds on existing information security standards and adds guidance designed specifically for cloud services. The goal is not to replace established frameworks. The goal is to extend them, to address the realities of cloud computing, shared infrastructure, virtualized environments, and distributed responsibility between providers and customers. Because the security in the cloud is about understanding the relationship between those systems. Interestingly, technology is rarely the hardest part of cloud security. The real challenge is governance, understanding who is responsible for what. Cloud providers typically protect the infrastructure. Customers remain responsible for other areas: their data, their identity management, their application configuration, their monitoring activities. When both sides understand these roles clearly, the model works very well. But when the responsibilities are unclear, gaps appear. And those gaps are rarely visible until something goes wrong. So let me leave you with something practical. If your organization depends on cloud services, try asking 3 simple questions, not in a technical review, in a leadership discussions. First, if a major security incident occurred in our cloud environment tomorrow, which part of the incident would be our responsibility? Second, which of our systems depends most heavily on infrastructure we do not control? And do we understand how security is implemented there? And third, who in our organization ultimately owns the risk of cloud security? Not operationally, strategically, because a shared responsibility does not eliminate responsibility. It simply distributes it. Think again about that meeting room. The systems are running. The infrastructure is stable. The dashboards show normal operation. And yet, one question still hangs in the air. Who is responsible? In cloud environments, security incidents rarely begin with broken technology. They begin with misunderstood responsibility. Standards like ISO 27017 help organizations clarify how cloud security should work, and our responsibilities are shared between providers and customers. But frameworks alone are not enough. Because in the cloud, the most dangerous vulnerability is rarely technical. It is the moment when responsibility becomes unclear. Thank you for listening. I'm Luigi Ferro, and this was the ITSM Practice Podcast. Arrivederci.